What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. So this is the second time filming this video. Been having some issues. I did it last night and for some reason whenever I was uploading, the video was 19 minutes and it was only uploading 10 minutes of the video. So if you saw that and you're like, what is going on? That's what happened. So I've just decided to scrap it. I deleted everything and I'm just going to redo it. So, pardon me. Today's video is going to be all of the bronzers that I've purchased in 2020. I'm going to separate them into cream bronzers and powder bronzers. So I do have high-end bronzers. I have kind of like middle of the range bronzers in price, and then I have drugstore bronzers as well. So hopefully you are excited to see that, and let's just get right into it. So I think I'm going to start with the cream bronzers because that's what I've been kind of most excited about this year. And sorry, I just want to make sure I have all of them here. And I do. So initially I had said in my video that I had first done that I had 16 bronzers total, which I know is like actually crazy and ridiculous, but I was including the NYX Wonder Stick, and now I've decided to just remove this completely because this is definitely more of a contour color than a bronzer, and I don't really use it as bronzer. I only use it to contour basically my nose, and that's it. So that one is being removed. So the first one I'm going to talk about will be the Rare Beauty bronzer stick in the shade Happy Soul. This is what it looks like, and I'm going to swatch them. I'm probably just going to swatch 3 at a time just because it gets to be a little too much and it gets confusing. So this is Happy Soul. I have spoken about this one previously in videos, and I don't think it's the actual bronzer that I don't like. I think it's the shade just doesn't really work for me. So this is Happy Soul. You see it's like very warm. It's very deep. I do like a deeper bronzer. Like you can tell, obviously I like something that's darker than my skin tone, but this one for me, I don't know. When I blend it out, it does blend very easily, but when I use it on my face, I can't just go right in and blend it. I'll have to like put it on the back of my hand, use a brush, or just dab the brush right onto it, but I never love it. So this is what it looks like blended out. It's just not the right shade. So I would definitely have to try one shade below this one and see if I like it. The texture is really nice. Blendability is beautiful. Just the shade itself doesn't work for me. So the second one I'm going to be talking about is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in light medium. So that's what this one looks like. I've spoken about this one before too, and with this one I really like the color, which is light medium. Like I said, it's definitely more neutral, which I like better. I either like a goldeny undertone or a more neutral undertone, but with this one, what I don't love is how easy, it is super easy to blend, which is nice, but almost to the point where there's nothing left on my face. And I think because I'm a combination skin type, I just prefer a cream bronzer to be a little bit, like dry down a little bit more matte rather than being a balm, because I feel like if I do get oily, it kind of will just slip off of my face. So I feel like if you're doing a no makeup look, this would be really nice. Or if you're a dry skin type, I feel like you would love this. I know a lot of people love both of these bronzers, so it could just be a me thing. But the Balm, I feel like just doesn't 100% work for me. But speaking of another balmy bronzer, this is the Merit Bronze Balm in the shade Clay. So I actually really love the shade of this one, and oddly it looks very warm on camera, but for some reason it looks more neutral on my skin, on my face. But again, this one almost could blend to nothing. So I did talk about this in, I think maybe my last video. I do really like it, or in my Patrick Ta video, I talked about this. I do really like it, but I wish it had a little bit more color and a little bit more staying power. But other than that, it is very beautiful, blends out so easily, but almost too easily. Like, I don't want it to blend completely away. So that's my only issue with those guys, but the color is beautiful. So that is clay. I'm just gonna remove these ones now. And I have 4 others to talk about. So these are kind of getting into my more favorite bronzers. But yeah, I can't believe I had to redo this video. What a pain. It's just YouTube, I guess. Gets freaky sometimes. Okay, so the next one I'm going to be talking about is the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer in the shade Tanlines. This one is definitely a more stiff texture. I like the texture and I like the color. It's just not as easy to, I don't know, it feels a little bit more difficult to get onto the skin, but it would be definitely comparable to the Nars Laguna. I really do like it. I just don't use it a ton, and I don't know why, because it's really nice and the color's pretty. But yeah, I'm not sure why. The next one I have is the Cream Bronzer by ABH, Anastasia Beverly Hills, in the shade Amber. Just looks like this, really nice packaging. So smooth. Very like creamy texture to it. The color is gonna look crazy right now. You might be like, okay, why don't you like the Rare Beauty if you like this one? There's just something that I really enjoy about this one. I think it's probably that it's like a soft matte once it kind of dries down. It has a more matte texture, and that's just what I'm into. So that's it blended out. It looks very orange on camera, but in person it's definitely more of like a goldeny kind of olive undertone. And this is the shade Amber. I think that might be why it doesn't get talked about enough. It's maybe the shade selection, because I think people thought they were kind of a weird undertone, like a goldeny olivey undertone, but I think that would work for a lot of people. But it also might not work for a lot of people. But I love this one. And so the next one I have is the Beautiful Skin Sunkissed Glow Bronzer in the shade Fair. This looks extremely dark and kind of scary, neutral, and cool, but on the face it's actually very beautiful. This has a stiffer putty-like texture to it, but on the skin for some reason it just works. When you put this, like I use it with a brush, when I put my brush into it, I barely have to use any. See, it's definitely nicer on the skin. I barely have to use any on my brush and it just stays put all day. It could be like leaning towards a little bit too matte for some people. If you don't have a combination skin type, you might not like this because you might feel like it's too dry. But my only worry is that because it's almost like a putty texture, it might dry out in the compact, but hopefully that is not the case. But I really love this one. Okay, so the very last one I'm going to talk about is probably no surprise to anybody, but I was actually going to return it when I first tried it, only because I wasn't sure about the shade, but I ended up keeping it, clearly. It's the Nars Laguna 01. Laguna 02 looked a little scary to me. The texture of this is just so buttery, easy to use. It's so blendable. It dries down like a more matte texture. It's just everything. So you can see that shade looks kind of scary light, but for some reason it just works. I didn't want to get something that was too similar to stuff I already had, And as you can see, I have, you know, I have amber already, which is quite like a deeper shade on me. I have the beautiful skin. So I just wanted something that was a little bit lighter that I could use in the winter. And then just, I always add a powder bronzer on top. So today I'm actually wearing this with the L'Oreal Infallible bronzer. So I will show you my powders, but as for the ranking, I'm gonna have to say number 1 goes to Nars, number 2 goes to ABH, number 3 is Charlotte Tilbury. I think number 4 would be the Merit bronzer. Number 5 would be ELF. Number 6 would be the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer. And what number am I at? 7 would be the Rare Beauty, only because of the shade. But this is kind of the order that I wear it, like basically what I wear most to what I wear least. So let's start with the powder. All right, so for powders, I have 8 bronzers. I know this is like absolutely ridiculous, but like I said in my first video that I filmed, when I go on a kick, I really go on a kick. So if I'm looking for a highlight, I want to find the best highlighter, I want to find the best bronzer, and so I kind of go a little bit crazy. But anyway, I'm going to start with the Terracotta Light bronzer by Guerlain. This one I totally loved when I first used it, and I don't know why, I just have not been reaching for it. And I think in my video I said I wasn't sure if the colors would like follow through once you've used it, or if it was just like a top, you know what I mean? Like if all the colors would show through once you use it a lot, and they do, because when I'm blending through it, all the colors are still there. So this is a Terracotta Light. I hope that made sense. It sounded better in my head. Right now, I just haven't been reaching for this. I don't know why. It's beautiful. It has a little sheen to it. You can see more in like the deeper shades. It has a sheen to it. I think this just works better for me during the winter. And so during the summertime, I just haven't really been reaching for it. But it is very beautiful. So hopefully I'll get some use out of it this winter. So I do love all of these bronzers. It's not that I don't like them. It's just how often I'm reaching for them, basically. Next, I'm going to be showing you the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Blends in the shade Sunkissed. This is the only shade they have. Like, why is that even a thing? It's super warm. So I don't tend to reach for my super warm bronzers all that often. This came heavily recommended by Alexa Chan, and I believe Simply.Blair was talking about it too. But for me, it's just they both have different skin tone than I do, so it probably just works really well on them and not so much for me. It's just a little too warm for me. I don't really reach for it that often. Next, I have the Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Perfector by Makeup by Mario in light medium. That is already swatched right there. I don't love it. I don't know. It's like, it's confusing. It's not confusing. Like, I would just use this as a bronzer and swirl it all together. But like, I don't love super, I like a little bit of glow to my bronzer, but like I said, I'm combination oily, so I don't want a super shimmery bronzer. And I don't necessarily feel like it makes you super shimmery, but it's just like, be one or the other. Like, be a highlight, or be a powder, or be a bronzer. I don't know. Maybe it's just the shade I'm not in love with. I just don't reach for this, and it's just not my favorite product, sadly, because it's kind of expensive. Next we have Jaclyn Cosmetics Pressed Bronzer in the shade Skinny Dip. Sorry, I believe it's called the Sunbathe Pressed Bronzer. And even though this looks kind of warm, it's definitely described as a neutral. I really like this one. I haven't used it in a while just because I've been trying so many different ones, but this one, when I do wear it, I always really, really like it. Okay, I lied. I'm going to swatch 4 in this little area. And it looks very similar to these, but on the face it doesn't. I don't know. There's just something about this one that works. It's so smooth. It's not shimmery. It does have a scent to it. It's kind of like a toffee coffee scent. So if you don't like scents, you might not like that, but it's not overly scented and it's just a little bit sweet. So that one I really like. Very smooth on the skin, more matte bronzer, and it's beautiful. All right, we're in the home stretch here. These two are so good. I'm going to swatch them both, but drugstore bronzers, these are by far my top recommendations. L'Oreal Infallible, I have in the shade Light. Yes, 250 Light, and LA Girl bronzer in Back to the Beach. Like, so good. So Back to the Beach definitely has a cooler undertone, like a pinkier undertone, and L'Oreal definitely has a more golden undertone, but both of them are matte bronzers and they just blend like a dream. I'm obsessed with both of these ones. Next I have Juvia's Place in Bronzed Light. This is a two bronzers in one. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so for the Bronzed Light, I don't know what it is I don't love about it. I think this one is just a little bit too light, and this one's a little too warm. It is really nice on the skin, but I just don't really reach for it that often. But it is really nice. I just can't really use it as a contour, which I think was kind of the point of it. Last but not least, don't kill me because it's not available anymore. It might still be online. I found this in store at the Bay. This is the Chanel Le Beige Oversized Healthy Glow Sunkissed Powder in the shade Light. Sorry, in the shade Medium. So this is the shade Medium. Looks warm, but it's definitely very... I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because you can't really get it anymore, but I love it. I have to say though, if you don't like scents, the smell is a little strong and it kind of smells a little bit weird. Like my camera keeps cutting me off, so I'm just going to make this really quick for the ranking. Number one is Chanel. 2, L'Oreal Infallible. 3, I'm gonna break this phone. Number 3, the LA Girl Matte Bronzer in Back to the Beach. Jaclyn Hill's number 4 in Skinny Dip. Number 5 is Guerlain Terracotta Light. Number 6, Juvia's Place. Number 7, Neutrogena. And sadly in last place, Makeup by Mario. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much.